Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we are going to talk about .files and Linux and how to manage them and general recommendations. Right now I'm on WSL, but I'm gonna just SSH to my machine. Let's go there very quickly. It's just a regular Fedora machine that I will be using for testing. Okay, now we are there. So right now we are on our machine. First of all, what even is a shell? A shell is a program that reads commands. So when I do ls, for example, it reads the commands provided, which is ls in our case. There are many types of shells. Right now I'm on bash. Okay, we're gonna talk about this dash in a second. And bash is just one of these programs. There are some others. I think I installed fish. Let's see. Yeah, there you go. Some people like it. It does have some features. So as you can see, it does autocomplete and stuff. I don't want to use it. Bash is just one of the types. Okay, so this is the first concept, which is the shell. If you use Linux and you clicked on this video, you probably already familiar with it. If not, welcome. The second concept we're going to talk about is called login versus non-login shell. You are familiar probably with this right here, like the first argument when executing a script. Right now it says bash, but notice how there is a dash. The dash signifies that this is a login shell. When you log in into Linux, in my case, I SSH'd into Linux, then it will execute a login shell. Okay, it's basically to say that I logged into it. Okay, now let's try something. Let's just do bash. Let's create a subshell of bash on the same terminal. Okay, in the same SSH session. Okay, now we are here, we're gonna do some commands, and now let's do the same output. Now, as you can see, bash is without a dash. So here, now, you probably know that you can do a login like this, right? So what do you expect the output to be? Now, I'm gonna try it, and let's see how it goes. Oops. So as you can see, we do not have a dash. So I did some experiments on this, and it seems that the dash only appears in the initial shell, initial login shell, okay? So even if you do another login shell that is like a subshell, it's not gonna work. I noticed that this behavior is not consistent with, like, sometimes, for example, in WSL, and I also wrote it even in my blog, I did some experiments on it. Okay, sometimes it can produce like the dash before the name of the shell. But generally, like, we're gonna just deal with our regular Linux right here. So generally, as a rule of thumb, we know that the dash appears when you execute echo $0 for the initial login shell. Okay, so that's the first concept, login versus non-login. Again, when I do just a regular bash, I created a subshell. This one is not a login shell, okay? I did not log in into it. It's just program that I executed. Next, we are going to talk about the concept of interactive and non-interactive shells. Now, usually when I'm on bash, I could enter commands. So I could say ls, for example, echo, whatever, okay? And it would take input from my side commands. Okay. However, when we run the shell commands in a script, uh, this signifies a non-interactive shell. For example, I have this script right here. Its content is very simple. I'm gonna explain what this means in a second. But as you can see here, we have the line basically on what the shebang and like where to find bash. And here we have an echo statement. Now, when we execute a script like this one, you can imagine it as if bash will create a subshell to execute it, which makes sense, right? Because in the background, we are doing this. Like this. We're gonna see what this output means in a second. So the first argument is bash, or our, like say bash executes our script, you know what I mean? And so this is a shell that we cannot really interact with. Now, sure, we like sometimes in your scripts you may like make it able to read input from user, but this is not the same as commands. Okay, you know what I mean? So this is a non-interactive shell. Now this right here, this argument right here is to print the flags of bash. Okay, right now you can see the flags are H and B. Don't worry about them. What we really care about is this flag right here. So let's do it like this. Oops. You can see in our current shell, that is the login shell, you can see more flags. We see the H and the B, but we also see the I. I indicates interactive. So interactive means that I could talk to it, if that makes sense. Okay, so that is the second concept. Now we are gonna know how do these two concepts, login versus non-login shell and interactive versus non-interactive shell, relate to dot files and how to manage them. Okay, now let's talk about dot files themselves. So in Linux, we have so many configuration files. Some of them are system-wide and some of them are user or program specific. So one example of a system-wide configuration file is the profile file. So it's in the etc folder. We go there. You can see that it has so many stuff here. It sets environment variables and all of that stuff. Here you can see that it sets or prepares the path variable, the host name, all of this stuff. This file is a system-wide configuration file, meaning that it affects all shells across all users, all of them. Okay, but what if I want my own configuration? Okay, what if I have my own set of environment variables that I want? Maybe some programs, like whatever, things that are specific for my user. I could do that and set them and prepare them with the profile file that is for my user. So the way we can find it is through here. So let's check what I have in there. Now this file wasn't created, and that's okay because remember we have the global profile file. Okay, so like it would take effect and you can override it or change whatever you want from yourself by just creating it. Okay, in the home directory. Here I just printed this statement because I was experimenting to see which file would be applied first and so on. And I just have like an echo statement, hello from profile. Okay, let's exit. And let's try to SSH to the machine one more time. The reason for that is because we need a login interactive shell. We want to see if this file will be active. Okay, so now let's try it. So let's do SSH 127.0.0.1, which is like the local host of this machine. Okay, so let's enter our credentials. Oops. There you go. So as you can see, when we logged into the machine again, okay, via SSH, we are now in a login shell. And as you can see, the profile was activated. Now let's exit from here. Now the file profile affects all login shells for this user. Okay, so if I used fish or if I used ZSH, I don't have it, but if I used it, it will be applied. So whatever, let's say, environment variables I define here, they also will be like inherited by the shell, which is convenient. But also we have a profile shell specific for the shell. If that makes sense. So for example, let's see what dot files we have for bash. Bash. Actually, let's just do this. I deleted them for a reason, but I'll show you. So Bash has couple dot files, okay, and they are in my system. Like there is a bash rc also that is system wide. I don't really care about that one. I never really touched it, but nonetheless. So bash. So first we have bash history. It's not really. It doesn't really apply anything. It just logs all the commands that you enter via bash. Okay, so like it's good to check what like the command history and stuff. Bash logout. Like when you define it, it basically how do I say it? Like it's useful for cleanup and stuff. After it applies once you exit. Okay. And bash rc. Bash rc is mostly for the interactive stuff in it and so on. I will show you actually bash rc, or let's forget about it for a second. Now, just like we have the profile file, okay, for per user, for each user, we can also create a profile file for bash. Okay, so if I go nvim.bash profile, just like that, this is how it's called, and it's gonna be of course in my home directory, which I currently am in. So if I do this, it creates a file. It's empty, right? So let's try something. Let's do echo hello from dot bash profile. Okay, and let's save it and exit. Now, if this file exists, it will overwrite this file. So what we expect is, if this file exists, then this statement will not be printed. Instead, we will print the echo statement here. So let's try it again. SSH 127.0.0.1. Yeah, there you go. So as you can see here, we have logged into bash, or let's say did a login shell with bash, and it's like an initial shell because it's with SSH. So as you can see here, it printed the statement and it expanded the tilde. Let's exit from here. Okay. Now other shells I assume also have this. Honestly, I never worked with other shells. I only used bash exclusively for a couple years. I did try use fish and I like it like for a while. It has some nice stuff, like as you can see here, like like autocomplete and stuff. But I don't know. I didn't really care for themes, which I'm gonna talk about in a second. I use all my bash, or OMB. Okay. Now this is for the profile, okay, or the bash profile. Usually, what I would do in the bash profile. Let's go for it again and set it the way I like to do it. Now, this is a new machine, which is why it doesn't really have my favorite dot files. Okay, let's go there. Let's delete this statement and I'm gonna add some stuff and talk about it. Okay, so this is the content I like to keep in my bash profile. So first, if the profile, like the original one, exists, just source it, okay? This dot right here is for the source command. Okay, the reason is because I like to keep my environment variables here, which I'm gonna show you later. And same with bash rc. The reason why I put bash rc here is because in case of interactive login shells, bash rc is only source if you explicitly do so in the do it in the bash profile, for example. Okay, so it's not sourced automatically, unlike the uh, interactive non-login shells. Okay, let's exit now. Actually, let's save. Okay, so now I have my bash profile. Another file that also exists is called, or like it's optional, is called dot bash login. Okay. Oops, sorry, wrong. Dot bash login. Okay, and here you can do whatever. So I'm gonna try actually doing something. Let's do echo hello from bash login. Okay. And now let's see if now usually the order of the files that get applied are first bash profile, then bash login, and then the profile. Okay, so for bash specifically, um, like whatever exists first in the order. So first bash profile, if it exists, in our case it does, then it would be sourced first. If it doesn't, then it would look for bash login. If it doesn't, then it would look dot profile. Of course, if dot profile doesn't exist, then obviously the system-wide profile. Actually, I'm gonna remove this one. I don't really like it. Or let's keep it and let's try to SSH. Now, one second, let's try something. Dot bash profile. Let's give it like like an echo statement, okay? Hello from dot bash profile. Okay, like this. Now, if we SSH, what do you expect will happen? Of course, we will print the bash profile. We already did this experiment, by the way. Okay. Let's try something. How about we remove the bash profile and let's see if bash login will be activated. mv dot bash profile. I'm gonna just change its name. Dot backup. Okay. Is this backup or not? Yeah, it is. Okay, now let's try the SSH one more time. Okay. 127.0.0.1. Hello from bash login. Yeah, so bash profile first, then bash login, then then the profile itself, the profile file. Okay. Here. Okay, now let's talk about bash RC. Bash RC generally contains like the interactive stuff. For example, if you have a theme, if you have specific colors, whatever like plugins you want to install. Okay. Now this is a new machine, so the bash RC is a bit barebone. Like it's, I don't know, I didn't really edit anything here. Okay, let's exit from here and let's look at a bash RC file that actually has content. Let's exit from my machine itself. Now we are on WSL. Okay, so this is like an Ubuntu WSL. We can use it to like explain stuff. It's fine. And vim.bash rc. Okay, let's see what we have here. Now I installed something called Oh My Bash. Okay, it's just like to provide themes and stuff. And this is the current theme. Okay, so just 1 minute. Yeah, you can see here that all the interactive stuff, I could change whatever I want. I don't want to, but the point is I can. Okay, and here, of course, I can add my aliases, you know, so interactive stuff. Honestly, I don't know why I did this. I remember. So now usually like it's better to add your environment variables into dot profile, okay, not bash rc. Okay, so because bash rc like keep it because generally dot profile will be applied to all shells. So if one day I decided to use zsh, I would be able to like use bun, you know what I mean? Bun would be added to the path. Yeah, so this was a mistake from my side, but it's okay. Doesn't matter. Let's try something. Let's go back and I want to change the theme. Okay, so let's go down a bit. Okay, and let's change it to like the typical one. I think it's called agnostic. Okay, now this is the current theme right here. Okay, now remember bash rc is not sourced until like you source it manually, either with .bash profile or like you source it. So let's try it, see if it works. Okay, So ignore this message. It always appears, and I don't really care much about it. Yeah, bash was sourced, and as you can see here, the new theme is applied. Okay, let's go back to our machine. Clear. So as a general recommendation, okay, we would always like to put the environment variables in the dot profile, okay? Whatever environment variables, just put them here, okay? Path equal blah blah blah, whatever, and then add the path to it, whatever. Like any kind of environment variables that you would want, just add them to the dot profile in your user directory. Okay, don't play around with the system-wide configuration. I mean, there is no need really. Like, why would you do that? Okay, because you can always like override this stuff. Okay, in the .bash profile and vim dot bash profile, let's see, bash, of course, dot bash profile. Okay, I think I changed its name, that's why. Okay, I'm gonna rename it later, but generally, for .bash profile, as we have said that it overrides the profile, okay? But still, you may need to like apply some stuff from it or inherit some stuff. So just make it override, take like source the dot profile one more time. Like that's okay, this is allowed, okay? And also make it source the bash RC. The reason for that, as we said, bash RC is not activated automatically in some cases. For example, in case of interactive login shells. Okay, so bash RC will be only sourced if you explicitly instruct, like add an instruction in bash profile or a profile. Okay, and lastly, aliases, functions, themes, shell options, completions, all of that stuff, just add it in the bash RC or ZSH, ZSHRC, whatever RC file for other shells. Okay, and that concludes the video. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next time.